The next morning, at 8:45, a faint hiss from the faucet sounded like an alarm bell. Karen appeared, striding across my yard with sky-high confidence, dragging the hose like she owned the whole world. She hooked it up to a shiny new 360-degree sprinkler, then plopped it right in the middle of her driveway. The sprinkler jolted to life, dripping water slowly at first, paired with a strange gurgling from underground. Then it erupted. A thick, black, muddy liquid shot out in a massive arc, blasting the driveway, slamming into the glass door, and drowning my bright white plastic patio set in a stinking flood. The sprinkler spun wildly, first one round, then another, each turn unleashing a relentless assault. Karen lunged forward, her feet slipping on the now slimy ground, arms flailing in panic. She wrestled with the hose, yanking it free from the sprinkler, only for another blast of gunk to hit her square in the chest. It coated her shirt from shoulders to knees. She crumpled to the ground, coughing hard, tears streaming from the rancid stench. This wasn't just a lesson, it was my masterpiece. Have you ever had someone use your stuff like it's theirs without a second thought? I never imagined it happened to me, but it did, bringing a mess that flipped my life upside down. Let me tell you about the headache this caused, and the oh-so-satisfying way I handled it. Leave a comment with the number 9, so I know you're ready for this story. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you won't miss any of the wild twists ahead. Wishing you a peaceful day. I'm Julian, 34, a remote software engineer. I grew up in a small coastal Oregon town before moving to Silverwood Estates 4 years ago for some quiet. I love the simple life, a small house, a tidy workspace, and calm mornings with tea in hand. But lately, that peace has been invaded, and I couldn't sit still anymore. Ever wake up on a weekend, step onto your porch with warm tea steaming your face, then freeze because your lawn looks like a flood just hit? That was me 5 days ago. The ground was so wet my shoes sank in, water pooled everywhere, and the hose, barely used, was still warm, like someone turned it on 10 minutes earlier. I live alone at Silverwood Estates. No wife, no kids, no roommates, not even lawn gnomes that water themselves. Just me, a cooling cup of tea, and a yard that seemed to soak itself without my say-so. At first, I thought I'd forgotten turning it on, but I checked. No auto sprinklers, just an old hose sitting by the house. Then the latest water bill arrived, 4 times higher than last month, like I'd been running a water park out back. But my backyard's just a wilted flower bush and a rusty folding chair. Nothing explains that number. Where'd the water go? That question haunted me for days. I started asking around the neighborhood. Most folks at Silverwood Estates are friendly, always smiling, except one, Karen. Yep, her name's Karen. She moved in 7 weeks ago and turned the place into her playground. She's not even in the residents' association, but you'd think she runs it, judging by how she struts around with a thick notebook, nitpicking everything. The next morning, I stepped into the yard, tea in hand, and my heart stopped. The lock was gone. Not just removed, it was smashed. Bits of metal scattered on the grass, sharp edges glinting in the early sun. Someone had used heavy tools to destroy it, and I didn't need to guess who. I stood there, breathing hard, a weight of violation pressing on my shoulders. I even knelt down, inspecting the broken pieces, not sure what I was looking for, just needing to confirm this was real. Then I looked up, and sure enough, there was Karen across the street. She was using my hose to wash her little white pickup truck, water gushing in big streams, soap suds spreading over her driveway. She did it like it was nothing, like I wasn't paying for every drop. I marched over, no politeness left, and asked, point blank, "What did you do to my lock?" Karen paused for a second, turned to me with a faint smile and said, "That lock? It looks so messy. I was worried someone might trip over it. I took care of it for you." Then she turned back, scrubbing her tires like we'd never spoken. I stood there, blood boiling, stunned by her nerve. I stormed home, slammed the door, and sank onto the couch, staring into space for 20 minutes straight. The Residents Association did nothing. Karen had no limits. And me? I was unknowingly funding her luxuries, car washes, yard care, with my own money. That's when I switched tactics. I ordered a small battery-powered security camera, the kind that records on motion. I set it up discreetly under the eaves, aimed right at the hose. If I couldn't stop her, I'd at least have proof. Maybe the association would care then, or the internet would, if it came to that. Just 1 day later, I had the perfect footage. Crystal clear, Karen sneaking into my yard at dawn, dragging the hose with that smug look. She watered her shrubs, filled a big plastic bin, even sprayed her muddy shoes, all before I'd opened my eyes. Every second of that video hit my patience like a punch. I saved it all. Then I uploaded it to the Silverwood Estates group chat with a simple title, "Neighbor takes my water daily without asking." Within hours, the replies flooded in, anger, laughter, even a tip for a mini alarm to scare off intruders. But the best part, Karen knew I'd done it. The next morning, she showed up at my door. No red striped dress, no flashy sandals, just glaring eyes and clenched fists. She pointed at me and snapped, "Think you're clever, filming me? You're ruining my reputation, making this place unlivable." I stood calm, breathing steady, and said, "You come into my yard, take my water, jack up my bill. Who's ruining what here?" Karen crossed her arms, leaned in, and dropped a line that floored me. "Go ahead, do whatever you want. I'm not scared of you." She spun around and left, leaving me stunned, but fired up. Her challenge poured fuel on a fire I'd been holding back. I'd do something. Something she'd never see coming, something to make her think twice before stepping into my yard again. The next morning, I woke up different. No more nice Julian. No more useless emails or flimsy locks. Karen had pushed me too far, and I'd show her consequences. If she loved water so much, I'd give her water, my way. I knew revenge couldn't be rushed. I needed a solid plan, no mistakes. First, I had to figure out how bold Karen really was. Did she only sneak my water when I was gone, or was she gutsy enough to do it right in front of me? I took 2 days off work and stayed home. Curtains drawn tight, I sat with a cold cup of tea perched by the window, eyes locked on the front yard. Time crawled, but I waited patiently. Around 9:15 in the morning, I heard it. The familiar twist of the faucet, then the scrape of the hose on the ground. I peeked through the curtains. There was Karen, in a baggy t-shirt and muddy sneakers, spraying water on her porch like it was her birthright. That smug smile of hers made me grip my tea so hard my hand shook. I stepped outside, phone in hand, pretending to scroll through emails. Karen glanced at me, paused for a beat, then kept spraying, unbothered. I stayed quiet, recording every second, my chest burning hotter by the moment. She ignored me completely, like my locks and cameras were nothing against her shamelessness. When she finished, she turned, waved the hose, and said, "Look, Julian, it still works great. You're lucky I tested for you." I forced a nod, lips tight, and went back inside. At the table, I replayed the video, every detail crystal clear, enough to show anyone the truth. But I knew the Silverwood Estates Association wouldn't care. I'd tried that route and failed. It was time to take justice into my own hands. That afternoon, I posted the new clip to the Silverwood Estates chat, captioned, "Karen turns my yard into her free cleaning service." Within an hour, messages poured in. People shared their own Karen run-ins, complaints about bright lights, demands to clean sidewalks in 24 hours. My story sparked a shared frustration. Some laughed. Others suggested funny fixes. One even messaged me a store for property protection gear, but plenty didn't hide their annoyance at the association's apathy. The video spread fast. Twitter, Instagram, even strangers from other states shared it. Karen had to know. Next morning, I saw her outside with 3 association members, pointing at my house, talking nonstop. From the window, I watched her play the victim, hands to her face, like she was holding back tears. I stood there, gripping the frame, insulted with every passing second. Less than 2 hours later, a sleek envelope hit my mailbox, an official notice from the association, accusing me of unauthorized recording and disturbing neighborhood peace. I crumpled the paper in my fist. Disturbing peace? I'd never raised my voice, yet they cared more about that than Karen's blatant theft. The unfairness pushed me over the edge. If their rules wouldn't protect me, I'd make my own. I brainstormed options. Loud alarms, big warning signs, a small prank, but none felt right. I needed something lasting, something Karen would never forget. Then, opportunity struck out of nowhere. Driving past Maple Ridge Construction at noon, I spotted workers setting up a big tank for handling wastewater from temporary sites. An idea sparked, thrilling and satisfying. I pulled over, chatted up a worker named Landon. I asked casual questions about the job, then hinted I had a water issue at home. I slipped him $30 to borrow the tank for an afternoon. He shrugged, grinned, "Do what you want, just don't wreck it." That was my green light. Back home, I grabbed my toolbox from the garage, hands moving fast. I rigged a small connector to the faucet, added an extra hose, buried under thin dirt, stretching to the back fence, linked to the wastewater tank. The plan was perfect. From outside, nothing looked off. But turn the faucet expecting cool water? You'd get something else. A murky, stinking mess no one could stand. I tested it with a short hose and an old metal bucket. The stench hit so hard, I stepped back, nose pinched. It was ready. I just needed the right moment. That night, under a faint moon at Silverwood Estates, I finished up. I checked the camera, set the hose where Karen always grabbed it. The trap was set, anticipation tingling down my spine. At 8:45 the next morning, the faucet hissed. I grabbed my phone, opened the app, heart pounding. Karen was there, dragging the hose across my yard like always. She didn't even glance around. Confidence oozed from every step. She hooked it to a new little sprinkler, the 360-degree kind, and set it smack in her driveway. When she turned it on, I held my breath, waiting. At first, just a few drops trickled out, paired with an odd gurgling sound. Karen frowned, staring at it. Then it exploded. A thick, gray-black sludge shot out in a wide arc, coating her driveway, splashing the glass door, and flooding the bright white plastic furniture she'd bought last week. The sprinkler spun once, then twice. By the third round, Karen's scream cut through the air, reaching my living room. She lunged forward, slipping on the now slimy ground, arms and legs flailing. Neighbors popped up. One guy stopped mowing, staring. An old lady dropped her trash bag, jaw open. Someone across the street started filming. Karen wrestled the hose, yanking it free, but another blast hit her shirt before she could stop it. She coughed hard, tears streaming from the stench, soaked and filthy. I sat at my screen, gripping my phone, satisfaction flooding me. This wasn't just a lesson. It was my masterpiece. That noon, I stepped out for the paper, acting calm. Karen spotted me, charging over, muddy shoes slapping, arms waving. "You'll pay for this, Julian. I'll call the cops, sue you for sabotage," she yelled, voice cracking with rage. I stood still, smiled faintly, and said, "You told me to do something, Karen. This is my answer." She froze, face pale, then red with shame. She stormed off, muttering about the association, but I knew she'd lost her edge. I waved after her, calling out, "Don't forget to tell them where the water came from this time." That night, I uploaded the clip online. In under 3 hours, it spread everywhere. Karen became the center of attention, not the kind she wanted. By morning, Silverwood Estates buzzed with laughter from porches, no more hushed whispers. The sewage sprinkler video blew up online, especially when someone added goofy sound effects and slowed down her fall. I didn't post that one. It came from a second-floor window across the street, likely a neighbor who saw it all. Karen's reputation tanked fast, and I knew she wouldn't forget that day. Within 8 hours, it hit Instagram, Snapchat, and local chats with captions like, "Karen gets what she deserves," or "Silverwood justice peaks." The laughter and support from the community eased me, but I didn't stop there. The sewage trick was just step one. It worked better than I'd hoped, no denying that. But I knew Karen. She wasn't the type to back down. Instead of retreating, this would only fuel her revenge. I was right. Next morning, a thick, sealed envelope sat at my door. 3 typed pages, bold text, full of legal jargon and baseless threats. Karen accused me of disorderly conduct, endangering public health, and air pollution. She claimed her favorite shoes were ruined, though my footage showed her wading into the mess on her own. I sat there, letter in hand, torn between amusement and irritation. If she'd hired a lawyer, I'd love to ask if they were embarrassed defending this nonsense. But deep down, I saw it. Karen wasn't stopping. This letter proved it. So I prepped for the next move, not a simple prank, but a lasting fix. Back in the garage, I upgraded the hose system. The old setup needed manual control, but now I added a hidden remote button in my closet. It linked to a switch valve, letting me toggle between clean tap water and the Maple Ridge sewage tank. I buried it under fresh dirt, seamless and discreet. Maybe I was overcautious, but I left no gaps. If Karen dared return, she'd face a gamble I controlled. Then something odd happened. She vanished from sight. Her house stayed quiet for 4 days, curtains shut, car in the garage, yard piling with leaves. No hose dragging, no complaints, no sign of her or her notebook. Silence blanketed Silverwood Estates, but I didn't buy it as peace. It felt like the calm before a storm. Sure enough, on day 5, it hit. A notice from the association landed in my mailbox. Not a gentle reminder, but an official fine. I'd violated sanitation rules and endangered residents. The penalty? $450. I stood there, crumpling the paper, stunned at the words. I called the association, demanding answers, but got vague runarounds from 3 different people. Finally, one admitted Karen filed a complaint with blurry photos and 3 witnesses claiming I poisoned her area. I stayed calm, offered my footage, water bills, and Maple Ridge papers to prove it stayed on my land. They said they'd review it at the next meeting in 2 weeks. 2 weeks! The delay choked me with frustration. This was Karen's game. She knew the association was slow and swayable, wrapping herself in a victim's cloak, but she miscalculated. She thought I'd bow, pay up, or wait quietly for vindication. She didn't expect that while she hid behind paperwork, I was digging deeper, readying my next move. For 3 days after, I dove into research. I scoured online records, pored over Silverwood Estates rules, even drove to City Hall to check files. This wasn't impulsive. It was the care I had to take. Then I found it. A key rule. Anyone caught trespassing and using private property without permission faced immediate review, fines, and possible expulsion from the Residents Association. That was my weapon. Karen had entered my yard over 10 times. I had videos time-stamped to the minute, plus neighbors who'd seen it, not her fake witnesses. I printed it all, compiled a file over 50 pages thick, and sent copies to the association and 4 families who'd complained about Karen's hassling. I didn't want to fight. I wanted change. Less than a day later, Owen, a quiet guy 3 houses down, knocked. He was fed up with Karen since she'd griped about his bright porch light. "Thanks, Julian," he said, hands in pockets, for exposing her. The next day, another neighbor stopped by, then another. Karen had ticked off too many in Silverwood Estates, and I'd accidentally lit the fuse. Soon, the neighborhood buzzed. People swapped news, shared my files, passed around the video like a legend. I didn't need to do more. Karen had built her neighborhood boss image for 8 weeks, but now the community turned on her. It got clearer when a leaked recording from an association meeting surfaced. Karen's voice rang out, brimming with confidence, demanding protection. At the end, she yelled, "They're just jealous I keep this place up to standard." Paired with her sewage-soaked video, it was unstoppable. 3 days later, Karen appeared in her yard. No notebook, no smugness. Big sunglasses on, she hurried to her car and left without looking back. For the first time in over a month, Silverwood Estates felt calm, like before she arrived. But I didn't kid myself it was over. People like Karen don't quit. They retreat to regroup. So I kept the remote button live, cameras rolling, ready for her next move. This wasn't about water anymore. It was about boundaries. Karen had to learn crossing mine was a big mistake. After the sewage fiasco, she lost her swagger, pristine yard, and self-made status. So when a knock came at 2 in the afternoon, I wasn't shocked. I knew it was her. What I didn't expect was she didn't come alone. On my porch stood Karen and 3 association members, 1 with papers, 2 with thick briefcases. Karen, in a long coat, arms crossed tight, chin up like she was about to address a crowd. The paper holder spoke. "We're here to discuss escalating property issues and an environmental safety matter." I invited them in, but Karen cut in. "I'm not stepping in there. Who knows what you'll pull next?" I gripped the doorknob, swallowing a laugh. I knew what this was, her last stab at playing victim. I was ready. They handed me a 5-page complaint, packed with wild exaggerations. Karen claimed I'd turned my hose into a disruption tool, posed a dire environmental threat, and forced her into panic with what she called a public shaming scheme. She even wrote the stench had seeped into her walls, a claim so absurd I wondered if she knew how hoses worked. I stood there, hands in pockets, letting them talk. I listened to every word, waiting for my moment. Then Karen wrapped up, demanding I pay for a pro cleanup crew, post an apology in the neighborhood chat, and join a mediation session. When she stopped, I raised a hand, calm, and said, "I've got something you need to see." I grabbed my thick file from inside, prepared the day before, and stepped back to the porch. It had it all. Videos of Karen trespassing dozens of times over weeks, dragging my hose. Water bills spiking, chat messages, a list of 7 residents she'd bothered in 3 months. I included the association rules, with unauthorized entry and property use highlighted in orange. The paper holder flipped through, eyes focused. Karen stood stiff, clutching her coat, face draining of color. Another member whispered to his buddy, tension thickening. Karen jumped in, voice rushed. That footage is fake. He's been stalking me. He's the troublemaker. But her bravado didn't sway anyone. The association folks said they'd need time, planning an emergency meeting in 4 days. Karen snapped, "No, you need to act now." They ignored her, walking off. Before leaving, Karen glared back, voice low and furious. "I'll show this whole place who you are, Julian." I replied, steady. "They've already seen, Karen." She stormed home, muttering to herself. That night, I posted a short update to the Silverwood Estates chat, laying out the facts clearly. No embellishments, no accusations. I explained how Karen kept taking my water, my ignored reports to the association, and how I had to protect my property. Responses came fast. People sent support, shared their own Karen annoyances. Owen messaged privately, offering to fix my fence for free as thanks. Next morning, a warm box of chocolate cookies appeared at my door with a note. "You're our hero." The emergency meeting happened 3 days later. It wasn't public, but word spread quick. Karen showed up with a big briefcase, calling it evidence against slander aimed at her. But her stuff couldn't outmatch the truth I'd brought. The association reviewed my videos, checked the rules, and ruled. Karen got an official warning for repeated trespassing. She was fined $350 and told another stunt like that could cost her association membership. They didn't formally apologize to me, but their silence showed they'd dropped their bias toward her. Karen became a problem they didn't want to touch. Best part, her little support crew fell apart. One association member who'd backed her quit quietly 5 days later. Karen, once self-proclaimed keeper of Silverwood Estates order, now just walked her dog quietly, head down, avoiding eyes. Her driveway gathered dust. Her fence stayed dirty. My hose? She wouldn't even glance at it. But it didn't end there. Karen tried one last weak, desperate move. She filed a complaint with local authorities, accusing me of setting up an illegal sewage system in my yard. One afternoon, Weston, a city inspector, came by. After 15 minutes checking my setup and laughing nonstop, he said, "Nothing illegal here. I'd love more folks solving problems as creatively as you." I offered him tea, but he shook his head, chuckling, "Thanks, but I'm not drinking anything near that hose." By now, my video had passed 6 million views online. Messages from strangers flooded in. Some asked if I'd team up to make mugs saying "Water Hose Guardian." Neighbors started looking at me with respect, but I didn't feel special. Just glad for peace after 2 chaotic months. Still, I stayed cautious. People like Karen don't give up. They pause, waiting for a chance. So I kept the remote button in the closet, cameras on 24/7, and added a new, clean hose, coiled neat, as a silent warning. Not because I was sure she'd return, but if she did, I wouldn't be caught off guard. Over 3 weeks passed since the sewage wave washed away Karen's pride. Her house, once a hub of endless complaints and absurd demands, now looked deserted. Porch lights stayed off, curtains shut tight all day. Her shoes didn't step near my yard anymore. The hose sat quiet on my lawn, gleaming in the sun, like a relic of a battle won, resting in victory. For the first time in what felt like forever, I woke up to stillness. No more weird water bill spikes, no fights over something as basic as a hose, no feeling invaded on my own land. Life settled back to normal, or close to it. Neighbors now waved warmly, not just nodding, a clear appreciation. Folks who'd dodged Karen's scenes started stopping to chat with me. Owen, the bright porch light guy, invited me for a backyard dinner. One morning, a small cookie box appeared at my door, nameless, with a note. "Thanks for standing up." Online, my story kept drawing eyes. The video spread, jazzed up with fun sounds and slow-mo of Karen's fall. Someone pitched a short film about Silverwood's water hose hero. Another turned it into a cartoon. Karen exaggerated, me as the hose defender. Weekly, messages rolled in from the US to Europe saying, "Thanks for facing the hose abuser," or sharing how my story gave them courage against pesky neighbors. I didn't seek the spotlight, but I'll admit, it warmed me up inside. Still, I never fully relaxed. Karen was quiet, but her silence wasn't defeat. It was waiting. One evening, as streetlights flickered on, a thin envelope slid under my door. No address, no stamp, just a folded sheet. The scrawl was familiar. Same messy handwriting from her slew of association complaints. I let out a small laugh, not from joy, but at her stubbornness, still absurdly unchanged. The next morning, a big truck rolled up to her house. No heads up, no goodbye wave. Just 3 workers quietly hauling away flower pots, plastic chairs, and that green penguin statue she'd set by her walkway. Karen left without a word to anyone. The house got a for sale sign the next day. In less than 4 days, Sebastian, Sophie, and little Finley moved in. That first evening, they knocked on my door, bringing homemade muffins, shyly asking, "Can we use our own water to tend our plants?" I stood there, relief washing over me so strong I almost said it out loud. But the story didn't end there. What I cherished most wasn't the 6 million views, strangers' praise, or Karen tumbling in her own mess. It was something simpler. One afternoon, while fixing my back fence, I heard laughter across the street, clear, carefree, pure. I looked up. Sebastian and Sophie were playing with Finley. They darted around a new little sprinkler, water splashing their lawn from their own hose. Finley squealed with glee, chasing droplets, while Sophie called, "Careful, sweetie." Sebastian laughed loud, scooping up the boy when he flopped onto the grass. No one took anyone's water, no complaints filed. That's what I truly wanted. Not revenge, not fame, but peace. A neighborhood where folks respect boundaries, where a hose brings plain joy, not fights. Standing there, new hose in hand, I thought about the chaos that small thing had sparked. Who'd have guessed a coil of plastic could topple someone's pride, unite distant neighbors, and restore harmony to Silverwood Estates? Strange, meaningful, complete. I turned the faucet, letting water flow steady, watering my wilted flower bed, feeling calm wrap around me. For the first time in over 2 months, this place was truly my home again. Picture this. You're holding a little hose, something harmless for plants or car washes. But it turns into the spark of a neighborhood war, like Julian and Karen's saga in Silverwood Estates. It got me thinking about today's world, where tiny things, a parking spot, a shared fence, can ignite endless clashes. Julian's journey taught me something deep. In a time when tech and social media amplify every spat, standing firm while tapping community strength can turn conflict into connection. Julian didn't just guard his hose, he sparked neighborly unity. Showing us respect and creativity can ease modern tensions. A quick note, this tale's for fun and learning, not to judge or offend anyone. It's all fiction, crafted to spread a positive vibe. What do you think of how Julian faced this challenge? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe for more meaningful stories. Thanks for watching till the end. Wishing you a peaceful day. See you in the next video.